Welcome back to the podcast. I am Dave, and sitting next to me is Rob.
Yep, Rob's still here.
I for a little bit I thought about doing the but now when you've tried that a few times because recording attempts have failed, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of takes the wind out of your sails, but honestly, you weren't doing a bad impression there. But I'm not encouraging you. I'm just saying it wasn't bad. Unfortunately, it was an impression of a bad character.
Like I've said, I've always liked that. But anyways, I suppose before we get into Police Academy 3.
Yes, Police Academy 3.
You know, like I mentioned in the last episode, which I'm surprised didn't take me as long to get out, but I've been watching Highway to Heaven. It's, you know, I'm enjoying the show, but wow. Talk about some Debbie Downers in those shows. I mean, cancer episodes followed by another cancer episode followed by another one. It's like, dude, I gotta take a break here. Let's watch some Cheers.
There you go.
Yeah, some good laughs there. And it's like, wow, this was a funny show. You know, oh, and now I'm getting these jokes that went over my head as I was a child. Okay. Great. So yeah, it's the wonders and the beauty of Netflix of being able to discover these shows. In some cases, rediscover the shows.
Indeed. I really need to start getting more out of my Netflix. But I'm not natively much of a movie watcher, and I don't watch TV, so
yeah.
I'm going to have to treat these TV show series as just binging it, treat it like a mega movie, and I think that's the only way I'm ever going to get through some of these shows that I'm supposed to be watching.
Well, you know, in this, you know, I mentioned this too the last time, was what's nice about, you know, like a show like Highway to Heaven, or in some cases even Cheers. Yes, more so Cheers. I've noticed they do have threads, you know, for a story that happened in a previous episode. They kind of carry over, but they're not necessary to watch an episode here, an episode there. In my opinion, you can still watch it. I mean, and laugh at the jokes. Done. Great. You know, you don't have to sit there and watch the show. And when you're talking about a show that's 24 episodes a season, that's story driven like that is a little more. That's difficult. That is time consuming. And I appreciate that a lot of the shows, especially the Netflix shows, tend to have 13 episodes a season, which it can be a lot, but at the same time, the stories are engaging enough that they keep you hooked where you kind of want to go into the next episode, then the next episode, then the next episode. Whereas when you drag them out, I think even The Walking Dead has the issue of a show dragging out because they might do 16 plus episodes a season. And I think sometimes that's a little too much because then you have your slow episodes. But that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. My experience with most TV shows that I've tried to watch are, if you're watching with your friends or, you know, and it's something that speaks to you, it's probably a lot easier. But there's just not a lot of TV that really speaks to me. So, of course, Dave, and of course, audience, if you ever want us to go into a TV series, let us know, and I will make an effort.
Ancient Aliens.
I'd do it. Heck yeah, I'd do it.
That show it's fun to watch. I like that show. Again, and that's one that you can watch one episode here, one episode there, clearly because it's in a documentary style, so it's not like it's telling a continuation of a story, but
that's on the History Channel, right?
Yeah, it was. I think they're done. I think they ran out of Ancient Aliens.
See, the problem is when the History Channel comes out with a series that I like, it's impossible to find it again. There was one. It was narrated by a guy named Peter Woodward. It was called Combat, I think it was. It was an excellent show. It showed historical situations like matching up. Was the longbow a great weapon in medieval warfare? And then they would take normal people and they would first direct them to build your own bow. And they would realize this isn't easy. One person had a bow that could actually functionally shoot. The rest of them flubbed it. And they're like, okay, this is what didn't work right. This is why the bow works. Now we're going to go to this situation, give you real bows and set up a scenario so that you can kind of appreciate that. And so the viewers at home can appreciate how things have changed and the challenges of, if you watch like Robin Hood and you get some idea that the bow was this mythical super weapon, the reality reality of it is it really wasn't. And it's portrayed more in that show. Can I find back copies of this? Not even on YouTube or anything else. And they're not making a penny on it. You would expect the History Channel would like sell it. I can't find this show anywhere to prove that it existed, but I loved it. That's my History Channel rant. History Channel, if you listen to this, put that out. You want it.
Yeah, I have a feeling though that sometimes these things are hoarded in, like Netflix won't release everything on DVD because they want people to subscribe to them for a reason.
But they do some of their best stuff, they'll do it, and it's just sales. Why wouldn't you want to sell something?
That's what I don't get.
Frustrating.
Even though I would never watch Making of a Murderer, but for some reason they haven't released that one on DVD.
Legal battles, I'm suspecting.
That could be, but it's on Netflix, so. But anyhow, I suppose we shall get into Police Academy 3.
Yes, nothing that I'm dreading as much as Police Academy 2. Well, no, I shouldn't say dreading. I looked forward to Police Academy 2 in the end, not to watch it, to rant about it, because I really did hate that movie. 3 I didn't hate. It didn't hit all of my buttons, but I didn't hate it as much. There was a lot of good things to it, and, not so good things, and we'll cover all of that.
Yeah, I believe that one, as a child, that was one of my favorites, and it probably boiled down to being that it was probably the first one I saw. It was either that or part 4, but I'm pretty sure it was part 3.
It was a heck of a lot funnier than 2 was, too. It had, more jokes, really. 2 was really bereft in a lot of places with humor, and 3 picked it back up to a considerable amount. Also, 3, if you liked 1 or 2, 3 was the let's bring everybody back for a movie, because just about everybody comes back and makes an appearance in this. The people from the first and the second.
Yeah. Still not my favorite, though, Barbara.
True. There are a few that they leave out, but still, though, it's
Harris is still missing.
Yeah. Well, for this one, yes.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready to break it down?
Let's go for it.
All right. So the same opening anthem again. That wonderful opening piece.
Yes.
Still love that. Ties the different police academies together. Even if they do break into something else after, at least you start out with that anthem and you're at a police academy movie. And we introduce, this time, the plot really, really directly rather than the roundabout method, because we get some narration. First of all, we have Mauser from the second movie. He's back, but now he is meeting... Oh, he has Proctor along tow again, because of course he does.
Yeah.
And he is in a clandestine meeting with Copeland and Blanks from the first movie in a parking garage that's just about to close. And they basically spell out the plot of the movie, which is convenient. Apparently now Mauser is the commandant of a rival police academy to the police academy we've all been following. And apparently the governor pulled the budget, so now one of them is going to have to close. So they're going to have a wacky inter-academy competition to see which one will stay and which one will close. And of course, Mauser wants Copeland and Blanks to sabotage Lassard's police academy. So that's the plot. Of course, there's a joke in the end where, besides them fumbling at being secret about their meeting, eventually they end up having a car collision when Mauser's car rolls down the ramp because brakes don't work right in comedies.
Yeah, that's always how it goes.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a quick setup joke. There's a collision. Of course, nothing comes of it. It's just funny.
It's just there for a laugh.
Just there for a laugh. And then, boom, we go into Police Academy 3, back in training. And we find out where everybody is. Mauser is still a kiss butt character as they meet the governor, who again is the MC for this kind of a parade to announce the competition between the academies. Cue hilarious competition, I wrote. So then we, of course, have to go to where are they now with the main characters?
Because Commandant Lassard, is it Lassard who figures that he needs to get his best men to help him out in this? And then, we get our character recall, I guess you would say.
Correct. Thank you for putting that into place, too. Yes, I believe he goes to... Callahan is like, we need to bring them back. Mahoney, and they're like, right, yes. Mm-hmm. So of course Mahoney, he's coaching women's basketball. Yep. Bunch of giggly girls that he is coaching and smarmily closer in a huddle, which there's a lot of huddles in basketball. It's cute and everything, and he gets called back to the academy. The best one, in my opinion, the next segment is Hightower, who is out trying to catch purse snatchers in drag in the park. One grabs his purse, he grabs and completely body flips the guy, stands up, and of course it's Hightower. And he's called back to the academy. I really think this was just a practical joke because they really wanted to see him in a dress.
I think that's almost what they said in one of the documentaries was, you call it the document. It was one of those where they sit down and talk about it. And he,
I don't think I watched that, but
I think he said that, there's no way that they're going to get him in a wig and a dress, and then he showed up on set and guess what? They had a wig and a dress, and it's like, come on. And it worked great. I mean, that's one way to catch a purse snatcher.
It was fine. It was good for a chuckle, and it was better than every single joke in Police Academy 2.
Yeah.
Tackleberry assaults his brother-in-law in their jungle backyard obstacle course. Pulls off the Rambo coming out and wrapping around his brother-in-law, but he's just passing on a message that he's needed back at the academy. So of course he goes. Fackler's wife declares that she's going to become a recruit at the academy, and
this is just basically a big old repeat of the first movie, just everything's reversed.
Yep, good role reversal.
Yeah, where she ends up driving and he's on the hood of the car,
driving all the way back to the academy. Yes.
Yeah, and in fact the whole thing is almost identical, because now we have in the first movie you had the rich girl driving in the car, seeing it when they're driving by, and then this movie of the rich guy smoking his like little penguin type cigarette, and the car drives by and he's looking out seeing what's going on.
Yeah, the thing is though, Thompson was a lot more useful to the story.
Yeah,
we'll get into that. Sweet Chuck riding his moped fairly slowly. I don't know, those things can't go all that fast.
Well, they go faster than that,
probably so. But yes, he's driving his little powder blue moped. And where was I? Oh yeah. Then the rich guy tries to get Hightower to take his luggage, calls him Porter. Not a good idea. Hightower just chucks his stuff into the yard.
That join the police academy or even army movies do this, where they they join and they're completely oblivious that there'd be any sorts of like,
just showing how out of touch he is.
Yeah.
So Jones is wacky. That's all I wrote down. Jones is wacky.
Yeah, he does a lot of his voice stuff.
Yep.
I mean, they're just now he's being stereotyped, or typecast, I should say, in this particular thing. And now they really, it's like almost every time Jones is there, that's he's doing some sort of weird, goofy voice thing.
But I mean, that is his character, really.
Yeah.
So I guess they're being true to the character, but it wasn't a joke significant enough for me to write it down verbatim. Eugene Agata, a fun racial stereotype who was sent to Mauser's academy. And, of course, they laughed him off because all of Mauser's guys look like they're brick houses. Yep. They're big, strong, muscular, and all of a sudden Eugene Agata is short and slight. And, of course, there are some, let's just say, humor that wouldn't go real far these days. Calling him the stir-fried shrimp and... racially charged humor.
But almost a lot of the jokes like that in these Police Academy films, they're very outdated, but that's just the times that they were in, and back then that's what produced the laughs, the clean laughs too, believe it or not. But now I think we're almost afraid to offend anybody, that for some reason we can only resort for dirty jokes.
Yeah. And interestingly enough that you mentioned this, Dave, this is the first movie of the series that was rated PG. The others were rated R. This one is PG only. So
part 2 was PG. Was it PG-13?
It was R.
It was PG-13.
R.
Part 2 is PG-13.
Okay, fine.
We had that bet already, but
that's right.
We lost the recording.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. But anyhow, this is straight up PG.
Yeah.
So no topless scenes and...
no F-bombs.
No F-bombs. Okay, so then he gets sent off to Lassard's. We meet Sarah, a shy new recruit. Very shy. Her mother is the one who does all the talking for her.
Yeah.
You don't remember her because she doesn't do much.
Was that the only scene she was in?
Pretty much. I mean, she is seen in a couple others, but she doesn't do anything.
I suspect that might have been a situation where they wrote a lot of stuff, a lot of material. You get this actor and they do this thing, and then as they put it together, it's not as funny as we thought. We can cut that.
I suspect a lot of this died on the cutting room floor, but we'll get into this in the end. Let's just try to get through this. Bud, Eugene's brother-in-law, comes in. He's also a new recruit. That's Tackleberry's brother-in-law. Of course, there's a cute scene where he's the dad is saying goodbye. They get a nice punch in on each other, which is their way of expressing affection, is beating each other up.
I love you, Dad.
Yeah. Yuji comes onto the academy, and the cab driver is trying to rip him off. Hightower takes care of it by shaking the taxi meter. That was funny. Karen Adams is the cute blonde who's hit on by Mahoney right away. She is really just there to be the romantic interest to Mahoney. It's about all I can really say. She's not like Thompson where she has any real strong roles where she looks good.
Right. She's just there to be the lady by Mahoney when the action starts taking place.
Correct. And of course we have Zed because Bobcat Goldthwait is funny.
Yes. Zed.
And Zed screams Sweet Chuck off of his moped, and then he goes crashing himself into the flower bed in front of the academy, where he is then helped up by the officers instead of arrested. Because he's reformed now. Let's see, was it? Copeland and Blanks get Zed and Sweet Chuck to... Oh, okay, they're paired up. Copeland and Blanks get Sweet Chuck and Zed to clean the grounds. Copeland and Blanks show how stupid they are by being foiled by dogs with flashlights in their collars.
Right, I thought that was pretty funny.
But it was a nice, touching moment for Zed and Sweet Chuck to kind of bond. Doesn't last, but it's nice. It's good character building. Hook shows off her driving skills, much improved from the very first movie, with some very nice driving.
Well, see, in that particular scene, I believe was probably shot in a way that you'd be familiar with part 1, 2, 3.
Correct.
Because you don't know who's driving that car, because the last time we saw her drive a car, it was
very lackadaisical.
Yeah. So she comes out of the car, and that's almost paying like an homage to the original one to show how far she came.
Absolutely. And like I said, good driving. So then we cut to Karen doing her driving test, but she's not actually driving. It's just Joan sitting next to her doing sound effects. Yeah, that kind of thing. And Karen Adams is buying into the sound effects, so it all works out well. Unfortunately, Hooks forgets the keys when she's bringing Zed in, but Zed hotwires the car.
Because he would. That's stereotyping that Zed would be hotwiring cars.
That's his criminal element. Then we go to Hightower showing off his gorgeous German Shepherd. I love dogs. He's got a very nice looking German Shepherd. And he tells them that the dog must be, shown who's the master. He yells sit, and all of the recruits sit down too, because that's what it was pretty funny. Then we go to some mat skills. Yuji Nagata showing he's good at martial arts, but he has one major weakness: Callahan.
Yeah,
he falls for Callahan, and yes, she gets him down on the ground, and he's not complaining, and reveals that he's now in love with her. So. Copeland and Blanks decide they are going to try running the recruits at 3:00 in the morning to sabotage them. This, doesn't go so well. Not a lot of humor in this. There's not a lot of bonding goes on. Nagata and the rich guy go into their room because they share a room, and he puts him down on Nagata's bed, and Nagata has a bed of nails. Lol. Posturpedic. Very good for back. Okay.
I don't think the Academy would let him bring that in like that. I don't know.
Also, I think beds of nails are more the Indian, Hindu kind of thing, more so than Asian.
Well, maybe he took that up, though.
Yeah, I suppose. He could be more flexible than I think. It's just mixing your stereotypes here. Then we get a fun call out to the movie Psycho with Sweet Chuck and Zed in the shower. Not together, not that kind of show, but Zed is offering him his shampoo. Yeah. This is nice. In the shadow of the curtain, it looked like a butcher knife.
Oh, I think Zed knew what he was doing.
Oh yeah,
he knew he'd freak him out, and he's just like,
no. Zed always is played off as the witless nice guy now. So no, I don't believe so. But it was actually one of the funnier scenes in the movie though. I liked it. Plus, I like the knowledgeable callback to Psycho. It looked good.
Yeah.
Even in the end, when they show the shampoo swirling down the drain instead of the blood. Tackleberry takes Sweet Chuck under his wing as he's trying to go AWOL because he can't take Zed anymore. And Tackleberry insists that he will remold him in his own image. This does not go as well as intended. The recruits then meet their great enemy, a door, trying to kick it open. Sweet Chuck tries with his new focus word, kill. It's the word kill. And just falls over trying to kick the door. Zed, however, is hilarious because he roars at the door, yells at the door, and the door opens. Door falls off the hinges, actually, because that's funny. I hate Zed. Anyhow, yes, sorry, Dave. Then they have a boxing match between the two academies. This is good. Bud is the chosen recruit for this, and Bud is getting his tail kicked, despite the fact that he should be really good at punching.
Yeah.
Considering his family, he gets his tail absolutely handed to him until his dad gets him up, punches him, and then he turns around and punches the rival and downs him in one punch, and then lays out his father next to him, because family abuse is funny. It's harmless 80s humor at the time. These days, it's a darker thing. You wouldn't be able to pull any of this stuff off. All right. Then we send the guys out to the streets. This is not a good idea. Way too early. Zed and a nice little lady on the street get abducted by Zed's old gang. Oh, this is my old gang! And yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, drive off.
They throw him in the back of their convertible and they drive off together. Tackleberry decides to stop a inconsiderate man who's smoking a cigar in a public space with his own miniature crossbow. He shows restraint by shooting the guy's face with his crossbow. But I guess that is scaling down and showing Tackleberry has learned something. He didn't pull out the python and blow it to smithereens. And
Tackleberry view a fascinating cop to follow with the body cams they've been.
Oh, live MPD or live PD Tackleberry. Oh, jeez.
Hey, wow.
They'd have to immediately kick that up to MA rating. True audiences only. Karen Adams and Hooks are in a chase. No, they're being summoned to a crime scene and I think a chase. And they drive down an alley, which probably not advised in a full-size squad car. The committee is in their backseat too, so this is timely. And they end up flipping the car. Is this gonna count against us? Yep.
I almost think that they should have failed with all these other things alone, but. Whatever.
Well, it's a full competition at this point. Mauser's crew is flying well ahead.
Yep.
So of course we go to the bar to have a little let-off steam session. Mauser comes in to gloat with Proctor. Of course, this is set up by Jones doing his mouth thing to mess with the bartender, and he gets threatened to have his mouth taped shut with really good duct tape.
Yeah.
So Mahoney gets the smile on his face after thinking about what he's going to do to Mauser and goes over and challenges him to a drinking contest to see if he can taste the difference between beer and champagne. And to make sure he doesn't cheat, he gets the tape and tapes his eyes shut, and
he can guess the beer.
And Mahoney challenges Mauser to test to see if he can tell the difference between beer and champagne. So he takes the tape and he puts it over Mauser's eyes so that he can't cheat. And they give him a glass. He drinks. It's champagne. Oh, Mahoney and crew have to pay for it. But when it comes time to take the tape off, Proctor tries to go slowly. Mauser insists he does it quickly so it doesn't hurt as much. He does and takes off his eyebrows. The hair gag continues. Mm-hmm. Yes. Which actually again was very funny. The shampoo in the second was the one of the only funny things in that. This was also quite funny. Especially afterwards because it falls on Proctor to try to rectify the situation, which he gets some eyeliner and pencil.
Yeah.
And puts on these little effeminate eyebrows on him, which Mauser seems to like at first.
Oh yeah, he's like, I think I like it.
Yeah. Then they have tear gas training. Zed goes for hotboxing. He just decides to stay in with the tear gas because he likes it. Yeah. Everyone else gets out quickly. Mahoney holds a pep rally for everybody, telling them how good they can do and they can still pull this out. Okay. Then Nagata comes to Jones for help.
Yeah.
Instead of Mahoney this time, it's Jones being the love doctor.
It's the reverse of the Oscar moment.
No. I don't think it's the reverse necessarily. Yeah. It's just, again, it stays with a nice kind of lowbrow humor.
Yeah.
But it's actually a bit classier the way that it's pulled off because Nagata's got a little discretion. He's not, screaming out, I'm a virgin in the middle of a bar.
Right.
And he does a good job. He goes to Callahan's door, knocks. He's got a rose. He says some poetry. And Callahan's, in America, talk is cheap. And we have a PG acceptable romance scene.
Yeah.
I love America. Yes, America is good. If you've seen it, it's funny. If you haven't, check it out. So then they have a kind of a policeman's ball for the cadets, and it's more a chance for Mauser to gloat because they're way ahead of Lassard's Academy.
Still butt kissing too,
and of course has to get a quota.
Like he can't contain himself. Just sit down, Mauser. Just stay.
And Proctor, of course, can't resist getting in his own digs.
Oh,
Mahoney decides he's going to take care of that.
Yeah, the nice little hooker from the first movie is back.
Yes, she's back. Awesome, the MVP. And he sets Proctor up with her. And she finds him over at the shrimp bar and takes him off to a room in the place they're at. Yeah. She cons the dupe into going outside au naturel and locks the door behind him. Right. Because he's not very bright.
Yeah, he's like, just go into this other room right here.
I'm old-fashioned.
I'll be right with you. Lock, And it turns out he's in the hallway.
Yep. So we have a nice bit where he's running through the hotel, and Mauser is told there's a naked man in the premises, and he goes, "Naked man, yes sir, I'll get right on top of him." Pause. Everyone's
Proctor.
And Proctor at this point is running through the city. He is using trash can lids to shield his essentials until he can get to... Oh, and this is one thing. I did listen to some of the commentary because he told us that this part of the movie was shot in Toronto in November, and he was legitimately naked. Some people do suffer for their art, and I've got to give him credit for that. So, of course, he's dashing around naked with two trash can lids, goes into a door to get off the street, and the familiar music hits. The Blue Oyster Bar. Yes, making yet another appearance. Now, here's the thing. Proctor has already shown that he knows where this place is after the second.
Right.
They're like, the Blue Oyster Bar, where's that? He's like, he knows the address.
Yeah, so they were pretty much saying that he knew where it was at in part 2, and then all of a sudden in part 3, it's like it catches him by surprise.
He's under duress. Yeah. He's naked. Interestingly, probably not the place you want to be if you are a straight man who's naked is in this place. It's hinted that it doesn't go well from his scream once he's inside. Back at the ball, we have some nice singing. We have Hooks and Callahan doing a singing routine. One of the things I liked about this movie, I really did, Callahan got a lot more personality here. She's not just the tough as nails instructor who ends up having a fling with George Martin. Right. In this case, she's a lot more of the driving force behind it, and she's more expressive, and she's a character, which is kind of nice. And of course, Tackleberry plays sax for that. So we get to the finale, or at least the series that leads to the finale, the final competition. Supposedly, Lassard's Academy still has a chance to pull it out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they got the you see these competitions like even on like reality TV shows, or all these people get all these points, and you think you're really in the lead, but then all of a sudden they pull the whole. Oh, well, all those points you earn technically don't count for anything, but if you win this one, you could win the whole thing. It's like, well, then what the heck were we doing this whole thing for? But, so of course, you got to give Lassard's Academy a chance.
A chance, yes. Although it's pretty clear that they're way behind. So a couple of different things. First of all, the governor goes off to a gala, and each academy sends him an escort. The Lassard's Academy gets the rich guy who's done nothing up to this point, and two of Mauser's big muscle-bound stooges get to go as well. Tackleberry and Sweet Chuck get in on a bank heist, which actually goes not really as you would expect. Not as much gunplay. This was the thing, where there was a legitimate heist in the second movie. Tackleberry was nowhere around. Now they actually are in there. Tackleberry is forced to drop his weapon, and Sweet Chuck makes the save. So not a bad turn of events for that. Hightower is driving around, and this is where Copeland and Blanks decide they are going to sabotage them. They are in mission control, and they have rigged the computer with a remote control, and they send Hightower off a pier into water. Sploosh. So that's not good.
No.
But at the same time, the two flub the remote control, so Hook sees it, and she takes them out with the most ridiculous cross punch ever. But it works because they're lightweights. You would break your elbow doing that.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Why would you? Yeah.
Well, maybe she practices that at home or something.
Breaking her elbows?
No, the cross punch.
It's a terrible, terrible move. I would have rather seen one big swing, one big right hook that would have cleared across both of their jaws to take him down. But it's a comedy. We'll let it go.
Well, it's just as silly as people holding the gun sideways, thinking they can make
I'm not going to let you argue with John Woo. So
Mythbusters argued with John Woo.
Did they?
Yes.
I must have missed that one, I'm afraid. So then, the rich guy, and the only thing he does, he discovers an impending robbery. The busboys are going to hold up the governor's regatta. And he calls it in as they're shooting his nose because they pulled a gun in his face. And that's all you see of him. Only Lassard's people show up.
Lassard's people, and then Mauser makes an attempt.
Well, yes, but that's not his people. Those are them themselves. When the actual guns are flashed, both of Mauser's cadets pass out. So, and they take the governor into custody. The Academy people jet ski across the harbor for some reason, which probably would have been a lot slower than if they had taken their cars around, but it wouldn't have showed off all of the Kawasaki product shots.
The toys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots of the jet skis and jet bikes.
Yeah, what's pretty appealing about the start of this whole scene and everything is the ending of this movie fits into probably a low budget action film of the era, the 80s, where you got your nice little go get the crook scene at the end of the movie.
Well, I'll give them credit. It's a different genre for a chase scene. And by this time it was getting kind of cluttered. You knew it was going to end up in something like this. A water-based chase scene was not a bad idea. Unfortunately, it was a little long.
Yeah.
Because they had to show different people doing different stunts and so on and so forth.
Sometimes it's the problem when you got a whole crew of characters.
Yes.
You gotta kind of show a little bit here, a little bit here. And sometimes other movies can make that imbalanced and other movies make it balanced. I think this one's kind of in the middle, but you're right. The whole ending kind of went a little longer than...
Well, it did. For the exact reason you said. Hightower gets his one big scene in this by grabbing the back of a boat and stopping it from going, and that catches two bad guys. So between that, his one little stint with the dog, and the purse snatching thing, that's about all we see from Bubba Smith in this, which crying shame in my mind. Mahoney and Karen chase after the kidnappers on the water bikes. Sweet Chuck bags a robber by pretending to be taller than he is by hiding behind a tree. This is not a bad... Yes.
He's also a big Clint Eastwood fan. So, Dirty Harry from the first movie, there's a little standee starting a shop. So he pulls his little Dirty Harry line.
And it worked. It worked fine. It was how Sweet Chuck would do it.
Yeah.
And it was nice. Jones and Nagata have a martial arts team up against ninjas. Because of course they did.
Yeah.
Because of course they did. That was it. It's just, let's have them in a ninja fight because of course. This is one of those things where it's just like, you know what? Let's just do things because we want to do it. Not because it makes sense. Not because the busboys team up with ninjas and Jones and Nagata fight the ninjas in a martial arts thing. That's...
To be fair.
Yes.
We don't know if that main bad guy in this movie or his mom, whoever's in charge, we don't know if they hold like fill-in interviews, like what are your skills? I know
you are overthinking this movie.
I know we're gonna have you to rob a bank or rob this thing.
Oh God!
What can you bring to me?
This is like in Blazing Saddles, where Hedley Lamar is getting his criminals. And are you chewing gum? I didn't know there was going to be so many. Man, he sure is strict. That's another movie we're going to have to review soon, Dave.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, and I've been tempted to put it on.
I've got the DVD. You can watch it whenever you want. Okay, Zed takes out two robbers. It doesn't matter. Okay, he yells at them or something? I don't remember.
Oh, he punches one, another punch, and then he accidentally punches Sweet Chuck.
Yes, yeah. And then they end up rolling on the grass. Obviously in love. Tackleberry stops a helicopter by doing his emerge from the water like Rambo with the light machine gun and pointing it, and that stops the helicopter, and he's got a big grin on his face even though he's not shooting the gun. Zed screams at a bad guy off of a jet ski. Random water hijinks.
It's just because the scene continues, like you mentioned.
Mauser and Proctor get into a canoe. They get dumped in the course of the chase because that was funny. I wrote down unconvincing stunts because like they gave everybody stunts, but obvious body doubles that wasn't particularly well done. But it was again more the novelty of the scene.
Well, one guy pretty much did everybody, which you could tell sometimes because like Sweet Chuck would be slightly taller,
slightly.
Hooks was slightly more built, and well, do I dare say blackface? Because that's what they did back then.
That's what they did back then. That's what
they did. I mean, today's one of the very first films that ever did a digitally facial replacement on a stunt double was in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I think they've been building onto that, where the stuntmen are still the stuntmen, but if they have to tweak it for the shot, well, guess what? They're gonna look just like Christopher Lee. You know, if Christopher Lee couldn't do lightsaber duels as an 80-plus-year-old man.
Right. I'm not going to go over every individual stunt. It's the committee's in a dinghy. They give the Lizards guys, they score them well. Hooks does her line. Don't move, dirtbag. Mahoney ends up saving the governor through again boat stunts. It's all just boat stunts. Academy wins. Yay.
Of course they would.
Of course they win. So it all resolves in another parade. Hurrah. Academy wins. All right. That's the end of the movie. We got through it. Yeah. So, Dave, I've done a lot of talking.
Yeah, I know.
You want to give us your impressions, Dave?
Hopefully next time I'll have to watch Police Academy 4 again, just to be clear. It's
don't worry, I got plenty of notes for that too.
No, my impressions of the movie. Yeah, I grew up with this one specifically. This was my go-to Police Academy movie, probably because of the characters that I liked. It was more goofballish than Part 1. However, again, today Part 1 is the better movie. The part you're right about the end, it goes on for quite a bit, but that's the problem we have when you have this many characters. You try to give everybody their little gag, their little moment to shine, especially in the rescue scene, if you want to call it a rescue scene. That's really about it. The jokes, I like the jokes better in this one than Part 2, obviously.
Yeah, they had some decent jokes smattered through. No real setups and no great payoffs, but they were mostly quick hitting and fairly funny jokes.
But this is probably the last one where they, in my impression, I haven't gotten to Part 7 yet, but I know there's nothing that Part 7 is going to be like, it's not going to surprise us. I guarantee you that. But Part 3 had a lot of stuff in it that was nice yet. Whereas once Part 4 comes out, and then Part 5, and then Part 6. I mean, each film has their own little things to them that are slightly appealing, but nothing in an amount to give the slight praise that Police Academy 3 probably deserves, because, again, it boils down to sometimes it's nice to watch something nice and not so harsh, just a little goofy, but not to the point where it's insultingly goofy, meaning like horrible jokes.
Right.
So I still like Mauser. I mean, he's no Harris, but I enjoy the character. There's not really how much I can really say about this movie, because unfortunately now we're talking about Police Academy. There's the one problem: each movie is going to be almost identical to the other. Well,
it's a formula movie.
Yeah,
that is how these work. And, you know, that brings some good things and some bad things. It's a formula that you are comfortable with. So you could get up, use the bathroom, come back, and you will know right in the movie where you are. It'll be the same flow.
Yep. Or in my case, where my TV is to the bathroom, if I really concentrate hard enough and nobody else is home, I could sit on the toilet, go to the bathroom with the bathroom door open and the bedroom door open, and I can see straight to the TV.
That's
if I had to.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't do that because, you know, there might be kids in the house. I don't think my wife would approve.
Probably not.
No.
But yeah, there were definitely some decent jokes in this one, more so than 2.
Yeah.
They treated this more like a comedy throughout, not just in a couple of high spots where there was generally something funny in every scene.
Yeah.
May not have all been, completely great, make you, double over laughing jokes.
No.
Most of them are just, smile worthy or chuckle, but at least there was something.
Part 3 was directed by Jerry Paris, who directed Part 2. And I don't know if it had anything to do. It was probably writing. The writing of the second one was probably more so the problem than the directing. But Jerry Paris.
Well, there wasn't a lot of material there. I mean, the jokes weren't built into the movie very well.
He just noticed. I mean, his credits was a lot of TV, Happy Days, Dick Van Dyke Show. And one of the things I found out about the research of Police Academy 3 was he died like before the movie came out, I believe, or shortly after. It was like, because he was gearing up to do Part 4 and then he died. And then his son was actually the Kirkland character, Andrew Paris. He's the Tackleberry's brother-in-law. So that was Jerry Paris's real-life son.
Bud?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Paris had a small scene in Police Academy 3, the part where they got the witness room, where you got all the people lined up, the lineup.
Yes.
And, the light turns on, and the guy pointed to the bad guy, and the bad guy's like, I got you, I'm very cute. And then he's like, no, it was the priest, it was the father. The father, the one that played the priest or the father or whatever was Jerry Paris.
Cool.
So he put himself in a little scene.
Nice. Also, this movie was again plagued with just too many characters, including some that were relatively pointless or didn't contribute anything outside of one or two scenes. Mostly Sarah the Shy Girl and the rich guy did nothing.
I suspect there was just too much stuff.
Well, there's just too many characters,
and they had to cut out, because the problem with this movie, I guess you could say, was the first movie introduces everybody's new. The people running the academy are new, and the people, the recruits are new. They're new characters, right? So now you got this movie where you got your old characters, which is a pretty good chunk of these old characters.
Mm-hmm. All the ones that most people
and
really
then they're trying to
except for you and your obsession with Barbara.
And then they're trying to do this thing where they're bringing in more characters on top of the other pre-existing characters. So you're pretty much doubling up your characters.
And the problem with that is you suffer some real dilution. I mean, like I just said with Bubba Smith, you barely saw him. He was in 3 scenes and that was it. Jones, just a couple of one-offs and that's about it. It was mostly about Mahoney again, which makes sense. I mean, he's the face that sells the show. But as a result, you don't get to develop most of those other characters. Callahan had more screen time than Hightower.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and more speaking roles and more character development.
Well, Hightower, out of all the Police Academy movies, probably had the better role, especially in the first movie.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely in the first movie. The rooftop scene alone.
Even though he gets top billing in like 4, 5, and 6 when Gutenberg leaves.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Hooks again just is in there for her line, and that's about it. Although the driving scene was nice. Tackleberry again, pretty hit or miss. The second movie seemed to have a lot of him, but it wasn't him being funny. And this one, at least the signs that he's in, he's back to being Tackleberry, enthusiastic about the potential violence, and it's fine. So all in all, this one was a far better movie, I thought, than 2. Still not as good as 1 because of, like I said, the character dilution, the lack of setup for the jokes, the fact that Mauser isn't a direct adversary and he just does not have the strength of character that Harris did.
No.
And same thing with Copeland and Blanks. They were very sporadic in what they did too. Just a couple of scenes to set them up as the Cretans, and they get theirs in the end. But at least this one wasn't all Mahoney this time. There was a decent thing of the undercurring story going on, and all in all, Dave, what would you rate this movie?
Oh boy, I gotta take a look at how we rate these things again.
Okay, well, I'll throw mine out. I would rate this movie as a 6.5. It was an okay movie, not a movie that failed at what it was supposed to do. It was funny at times. It wasn't very, very funny. It was diluted. It had its problems. Lengthwise, it was fine. The music and things, the soundtrack was fine. It It just, unfortunately, the funny people didn't have a lot to do because they spent a lot of time dodging around the unfunny stuff. But all in all, it wasn't a terrible movie. It was a decent 80s comedy. And again, like Dave said, it's a bit formulaic, but the formula works pretty well.
What'd you say? You said
I said 6.5.
6.5.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could easily lay this in a 7 zone.
Okay, yeah.
It's
7 is good.
Yeah, it's decent enough. It's not like, it's not jarring like Police Academy 7 will be. You have to take my word for this.
I have not seen 7. This is going to be an experiment.
Yeah, it's gonna be makes the holiday special good.
Oh boy. And one of these days that's going to be on our list too, because everybody has to review the Star Wars holiday special at some point. Maybe that could be our Christmas special.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yep. So we have a lot to look forward to, and that means you have a lot to look forward to because we have lots and lots of movies on our plate.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, our plate has plenty of room, so if you, our beloved listeners, have any suggestions for us, we'd love to hear from you. Got a movie you want to hear about? We would love to talk about it. Doesn't necessarily have to be a classic movie either. We would do recent to modern movies, whatever. We will take your input into account. But next time, well, we'll just have to leave you in suspense while we decide which of the many, many movies we're considering will be the lucky one to be talked about here at Back to the Podcast with Dave and Rob. Thank